Whoop some motherfucking whoop, guys. You already know it's the one and only Ms.lette, and that means that it is Friday. And I'm doing this video very early. I just got done taking care of the little one, and I figured now would be a good time to try and get this video out of the way because the kids are sleeping. But anyway, this topic of the week is actually my forte, and it is supernatural paranormal experiences. I myself am a very big believer, and I am actually very in tune with the veil. Myself being a animistic pagan and believing in the traditional native spiritual beliefs of animism, I am a what people would consider a medicine woman, but I am very in tune with the veil. I am a channeler. I am also a medium. So I'm very, and I've had that ability ever since I was younger. The first paranormal experience that I can ever remember, I was 4.5, 5 years old. But I guess if we're gonna go with like our most memorable, well, that didn't help any. I'm trying to cover up my boobs and it didn't help. But anyways, if we're gonna go with the most memorable story, I guess we'll go with this one. For those people that do watch my personal channel and know my personal channel or know me, know that I had somebody who was a major part of my life that I had lost in February of 2009. And I lost him to a house fire. A couple months after that, it was spring break, and I was spending it over at my grandmother's at the time, and even now to this day, I'm actually at my grandmother's right now, staying out here because I have a doctor's, or Leanna has a doctor's appointment tomorrow morning. But anyways, it was summer, or not summer, spring break. It was Easter break, and I was over at her house, and it was me, my mom, my mom's girlfriend, my grandma, my grandmother's husband. Now, actually, the number of the people in the house is important. Anyways, I was staying in the spare room, well, the other spare room, because my mom had taken the room that I used all the time for her and her girlfriend. But I was in the junk room, as everybody called it, and it's the room where they kept all of their like sewing remnants and old newspapers. My grandmother's husband was a major pack rat, so they had like newspapers from like the 1980s, 1970s. I might be over exaggerating, but they were old. But I remember sitting on the couch. I was laying down. My feet were up against a filing cabinet, and the filing cabinet on top of it had the lamp that I had on to read. And down at the bottom of the filing cabinet was a stack of newspapers, and then next to it was a box of old sewing remnants and fabric, and there was like two or three other boxes around it, and going across like the bottom of the part of the couch that my feet were at. I had my blanket on over my feet, but I remember laying there and reading, and I don't remember falling asleep. I mean, and then again, I've also read the book that I was reading probably about 3 or 4 times, so it wouldn't have mattered if I would have fallen asleep or not, because I could have just, kept reading like I was actually reading, because I knew the book. It was Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, I think. Anyways, I remember just laying there and reading, and then all of a sudden, I noticed like this, like, cold and and magnetic feeling kind of coming into the room, and I looked over and I seen like a mist starting to come under the door, and it just kind of slowly billowed itself up, and it came over, and as it came over, it started getting a little bigger and more defined. And then it come right over to where I was sitting and sat right where my feet were. And it billowed all the way up, and I could see features, and it was, sorry, it was my former, and I broke down crying, and I was just talking to him, and wondering how everything was going and if everything was okay, and talking to him about the night that he died, and asking questions, like, because I was talking to him not even 2 hours before he died. I was the last person that he made the phone call to. But I asked him if he was awake, and if it was my fault that he was awake, and everything like that. Basically, I was asking just a whole bunch of questions, and he was just talking to me, trying to calm me down and tell me everything was okay, and that, you know, everything with me would be okay, and life would continue, and that he was okay, and that he was still around. And I asked him a couple questions of if he had tried to present himself to me, because I had noticed some things, and he was trying to communicate with me. But anyway, after all that, I was going a mile a minute, panic mode, talking. And finally he stopped me. And what was weird is, through this whole entire thing, he didn't touch me. He didn't, like, go to put his hand on me or anything like that. And he finally stopped me, and he told me that everything was okay, and that everything was going to be okay. And all of a sudden he said, "But Heather, I need you to just do something for me." And I asked him what. And he said, "Heather, you have to wake up. Please, just wake up. You have to wake up right now." And I didn't understand what he meant. I didn't remember falling asleep. I told him, I said, there's no way that I'm sleeping. I said, I don't remember falling asleep. This is real. It has to be real. And he just sat there and begged me. He said, "Heather, wake up. Please, you have to wake up now. If you don't wake up now, you're going to regret it. Just wake up now, please." And I went to yell at him, and I said no. And I went to go and touch him. And as soon as I touched him, I burned my hand. I woke up, and what I had touched was my hand, and touched the blanket. And what had happened was, I guess I kicked the filing cabinet, which knocked over the lamp, and it fell into a box of fabric, and it caught fire, and it caught fire to everything that was around it, and it caught fire to my blanket. What I touched was my blanket that was on fire. The fire was about as tall as the filing cabinet. And I was able to put my blanket over the fire, and try and pat it out and run out of the room. But the reason why the number of people is so significant is because the night that he died, there was 5 people in the house. There was him, there was his brother, his sister, and his mom and stepdad. And out of everybody, he was the only one that didn't make it out of the house. My grandmother and her husband and my mom and my mom's girlfriend had easy access to be able to get out of the house. The fire started in my room, but not only that, there would have been no way for me to get out of the house. He was in the basement with no windows. He wouldn't have been able to get out even if he were able to be conscious and try. I had no ability to get out. If I would have been able to, if I would have let it go and then noticed what was happening, there would have been no way I would have gotten out. But if it wasn't for him contacting me and presenting himself in that way, I wouldn't be here. I mean, but other than that, I mean, I've had communication with, family members that have been long gone. When I first started having all this and I didn't understand what it was, I remember going out to a restaurant and just sitting there and talking to family, and then I heard a blood-curdling scream. Like, it was enough to make you nauseous. And I looked over and I just seen this little girl in the corner of the restaurant screaming, looked at me and screamed, like bloody murder, screamed. And after her just sitting there and screaming, I finally looked at my family. I said, isn't anybody going to help her? Why is she screaming? And my family looked at me like I was crazy. There was no one there. It was just me being able to see things. I know information about my grandmother and my papa's relationship that no one else would know except for her. New nicknames that he never told anybody, that she never told anybody, that I was able to just rattle off. There's just, it's, for me, this stuff is real. It's something that I've dealt with on a regular basis. And hearing some of the stories on this channel, it's great to know that there are people that can experience this stuff and that are open to it, because those who are not open, they don't come. I mean, when I had my girls, I hated being in the hospital, because when people know that there's somebody there that can hear them, they like to visit and talk. And there's nothing like waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to like 3 or 4 people around your bed. But anyways, you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but that's okay. Yeah. But I'm going to get going, guys. It's going on 14 minutes long that this video is gone, and I need to get to bed. But anyways, much motherfucking wicked clown love, guys, and enjoy this Halloween season. And don't forget, always keep it wicked. Later, guys.